In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use your viewfinder and some compositional strategies. But first, I want to go over the ratio of your finder. I had you make a 3:4 ratio viewfinder, which translated as having a 3-inch by 4-inch window cut out for viewing. Times that 6 times is 18 inches by 24 inches, which is the exact measurement of your larger drawing pad. Now times that same number 3 times, you get 9 inches by 12 inches, which is the exact size of your sketchbook. Because these measurements are all in the 3:4 ratio, you can rely heavily on your viewfinders for composition. Now, to use your viewfinder, you want to hold it at an arm's length. Theoretically, you can hold your viewfinder really at any length you choose. However, every time you reference your viewfinder, having your elbow bent, it's a lot harder to get perfectly in that position every single time you go to reference it. A different position means that you're going to be seeing something different each time. So holding it this way is a much safer way to ensure that you're getting the exact same position every time. Next, close one eye and look through the viewfinder. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be using 2 hands to prevent shaking. As you can see, this allows you to frame your still life, plan out your drawing, and make decisions. You can decide what you want to crop, if you want to use portrait or landscape. It just takes all the guesswork out, and it gives you an idea of how these objects are to appear on your picture plane. The picture plane is the entire drawing surface that the drawing is on. Now, as you know, I had you create a cross with string in your finder. This is to help you locate the center inside the picture plane and along the edges. And some students find it helpful to lightly mark out these locations on their drawing surface to create points of reference. Be mindful of the angle of your viewfinder. Slight tilts will distort how you negotiate the picture plane. Now let's go into some compositional strategies. Composition is the organization. It is the arrangement of your visual elements. This organization can invoke feelings in your viewer, tell a story, and emphasize a focal point. Composition can even take an asymmetrical image and make it look balanced. For my class, I want you to demonstrate for me that you can control your composition. You can achieve this with 3 things: focal point, balance, and using a compositional guide or rule. Determining the focal point is the area of interest you want your viewer to look. Know that you can have a main focal point, a secondary focal point, and so on. With balance, it's not uncommon for me to receive drawings with a composition that looks something like this. As you can see, the focal point is really high and feels awkward. Sometimes they may look like this. Here the composition is a little heavy on the right and could use a counterweight on the left side. But another problem is that the focal point is just really small. The composition of the still life really doesn't fill the picture plane, and again, feels awkward. Using a compositional guide or rule. For this class, I'm going to give you 3 guides or rules to utilize. Know that there are more than just these 3, but these are some of the more common. 1. Symmetry. You'll especially find this guide helpful when we address spatial depth. Symmetry can create a sense of calm, but don't be fooled. Symmetry can be a very powerful composition. Focal points are typically center, but can land on any of these intersections. But it will do so evenly on the other side. Rule of thirds. To locate the rule of thirds, simply divide the length and width of your picture plane by 3. Golden ratios. This is based on the Fibonacci sequence. Each number in the sequence is the sum of the 2 numbers before it. Now, we could spend weeks talking about golden ratios, and it expands into series, rectangles, root rectangles, and triangles. For the purpose of this class, this isn't something you need to know at this time. I just want to make you aware that it exists. So let's dive in. Out of this number sequence, if we divide from the previous number, we get the following quotients. As the division continues through the series, eventually it reduces to 1.618, making the ratio of 1 to 1.618. Let's see what this looks like visually. Basically, it consists of a square, finding center, and circling out from that center. This is 1 to 1.618. Now, believe it or not, you see this ratio all the time. Watch what happens when I expand this ratio. You see it in plants, weather patterns, galaxies, and even in the human body. Because of this, some have considered it the language of the universe. Now, your drawing paper divided into the golden ratio will not yield a square because of its dimensions. So how do you roughly find where it is? Take a look at this line here. See how it intersects here? It will always do this at 90 degrees. This means that the next diagonal has to intersect with the previous diagonal at 90 degrees. Where that line intersects with the side of the picture plane is the golden ratio. Now, out of all of these compositional guides, symmetry, thirds, golden ratios, the best compositional guide is the one that helps your work do what you want it to do for the viewer. As I mentioned earlier, for my class, I want you to demonstrate for me that you can control your composition. So remember to think of your focal point or points, balance, and use a compositional guide to help you.